Welcome to Tig's Bits. This week we have a great conversation with an award-winning actor, producer, artist, and overall super cool dude, Mr. Tim Michael Schmidt. He has a new movie that's coming out called Bloodthirst, and we learn a ton about how movies are made, Tim's career, how he got started in show business. Look, Tim is super wise, and he shares a lot of good things in this episode, so I know you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy it. Speaking of, if you're enjoying the show, help us out. Like, subscribe, share, wherever it is that you're watching or listening to this. And thanks again to Boil Boss, Gator Millworks, and Bayou47.com for sponsoring this episode. Go check those guys out. Christmas is coming. I know it's a little early to be talking about that, but it will be here before you know it. So with all of that said, let's get into it. Before we get into our interview with Tim, I wanted to share a clip of Bloodthirst. It looks fantastic.
Hey, girl. What are you doing out here?
Another day in paradise. 2, maybe 3 victims, I think. Dismembered, drained of blood.
40 pills, 200.
Last week it was 40 for 100.
I think we were looking at 2 killers.
Oh man, doesn't that look good? I can't wait to watch it, and you know we're going to be talking a lot more about that movie on Tig's Bits moving forward, so I can't wait. Look, the full link to the trailer will be in the description of the show below if you're watching it on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this podcast. But with all of that said, Tim, thank you so much for coming on, man.
It is my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, I was going to say, I know in our fraternity group, because if anybody out there doesn't know, Blazy and I are fraternity brothers, and Schmidt was also a fraternity brother of ours. He's a little older than me. What are you? Are you a few years ahead of Blazy as well? Schmidt?
No.
Blazy's ahead of you. Well, we're all relative.
Let's not get insulting here.
We're all in this. We're all in the same group. It's a year or two. We're splitting hairs here.
So yes, these 3 gentlemen know each other very well. Everybody,
enough.
They know each other very well. I've met Tim here a couple of times now, and we've become fast friends. So this is going to be a wild ride. This is going to be a fun conversation. Let's just start right there. How did you guys meet?
94 fall pledge class. I'm thinking Schmidt was 96. Is that right?
That's correct. Good job.
Yeah, that's right. Then we got 97. All right, sitting right over there.
I'm 98.
98. Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so we were all in the same fraternity at Troy. And so I was there first, and then they all came along and joined in the party. And I stayed a long time, so I got to hang out with these guys for quite a while. So
Chad was on the doctor plan, you know.
But a lot of people go to school for 7 years.
They're called brain surgeons, right?
Yeah, exactly.
or Bert or Pokey.
We had a fraternity. We had a lot of doctors in our fraternity.
We did. We had a lot of doctors. Only a couple that actually became doctors. We had a ton of doctors.
only a couple MDs. But so Tiggs, I went to high school. My last year in high school, my father retired from the Marine Corps, and I went to Charles Henderson, which is in Troy. And my older brother and my father went to work for the administration at the university, and my older brother was already there, and he was in the fraternity, and so it was only fitting for me to go to school there, and then obviously the same fraternity, and I'm glad I did because I got to meet these guys, and I am not a doctor.
Although you played one on TV,
but I have played one on TV. Thanks, Blazy, for stealing my
Sure, anytime.
My joke.
That's what I'm here for.
Let's talk about a movie that you have coming out.
It's called Bloodthirst, and we finished filming it. Gosh, a few months ago, and it's I have done many projects thus far, and I've got to say, by far, I'm the most proud of this one, both personally and then as a group. It's a fantastic I don't know if you're a fan of horror movies. I've become a big fan of them, and not necessarily this. So I've done the campy ones. No offense to any of the writers or directors in my past films, but this one has got a great plot, great storyline. My fellow cast members are fantastic. I couldn't be more proud of the work I put into it, and not that I don't put a lot of work into all the roles, but this one specifically, just I don't know. I can't explain to you. It's kind of like when a baseball hitter has got a great 4-for-4 night, and then the next day he's
Right.
0-for-4. It's not necessarily the field. It's not necessarily the team. It's just sometimes you're just a better version of you than yesterday. So this one I'm so proud of. It's a horror flick, a horror drama. It's about a woman who becomes a vampire unwillingly. I don't know if there's anybody who becomes one willingly, but the loneliness of being a woman vampire, and then a detective who is me, Detective Walker, whose wife was murdered a year prior to the events in the film. And he since has become an addict, both in alcohol and pills. And and then let the hilarity ensue between the vampire and the drug addicted detective. So,
wow,
oh, man, it
sounds like
a crazy
fun.
Combination. Yeah, you got a peeled up detective and a vampire. He's probably wondering what he sees actually real. Huh?
Yeah, you might have seen a Scorsese film just like it. I don't know, but our commonality is that we both are hunting a serial killer. So I will save the plot line, but again, she's fantastic in it. Everybody's in it is great. The story's great. The direction with Chris Helton at the helm there, it was fantastic, and I think there was just a good synergy. I've actually filmed with these guys before. I filmed with this director before, and the same camera crew and the whole crew, as a matter of fact, the cinematographers. And there is something to be said with working with the same folks over and over again. I think you see a lot. I think you see a lot of success with Tarantino, Scorsese, Adam Sandler. A lot of very successful people keep the same crew and cast, and more that I have done that. I've done 3 projects with this crew and cast, crew before, and some of the cast. But there's a lot of synergies and a lot of experience that really adds on into just more of a exponential product when you're done with it.
Did you guys film most of this filming in the Atlanta area, or was there any location shoots anywhere outside of Atlanta? This
one was actually filmed, just mostly north of Atlanta, probably on 4 locations. The film I just finished, we were up in the mountains, and that's the great thing about Atlanta is really you've got metropolitan, you've got suburbs, you got mountains, you got Atlantic coast, you got Gulf. Yeah, really you can, and and you have all the logistics. You have all the lighting companies,
everybody's there.
Everybody.
Production teams.
It's really just a fluid operation, and it just makes life really easy for you to film.
I bet. And, you think about a wooded area, which Atlanta has plenty of wooden areas. A wooden area could be Virginia, Cambodia, anywhere you want it to be. Same as, they do a lot in New Orleans. And if you get a bayou or a river scene, it could be any river anywhere and turn it into that if the right angle. And like you said, logistics, once you have the personnel there and the teams, because I know the little bit of background stuff I did in New Orleans, I went down to the base camp, and it's this sprawling, just the biggest warehouses you've ever seen, full of all this kind of stuff, the light trucks, the just every aspect. And you're like, that's what it takes. But having it in the city, you don't have to go very far.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We've got, there's Trilith just opened their, 1,000-acre studio, indoor and outdoor. You got Tyler Perry's studio, which is old Fort Gordon. You've got One just opened this past weekend, where the old Ford factories, excuse me, not Ford factories, but the car plant up there used to be, and that's got Spielberg and Lucas and all of them involved with it. So I mean, but I will say,
crazy, man. There's a lot going on there, huh?
Oh, I'll tell you what, and all during a strike, so which is good for me. But
Wow.
but what's interesting is, with all that said, I have filmed in studios, and I so prefer being on location. You know.
Oh yeah, I bet.
It's more authentic, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I know when we did some scenes for NCIS New Orleans, and some were at actual little bars and restaurants there. Mm-hmm. But then the main scene of the bar someone owns in the show is on set, and they have it looks inside, it looks just like it, except for the walls are thin, and then outside the windows they have big tarps up with the Bourbon Street painted on it. And I'm like, yeah, just go out there and do this. But I mean,
it's so funny. I did the Oval with Tyler Perry, and his. First of all, how successful are you when you buy a fort? Right.
I didn't know they were for sale, but I guess if you're Tyler Perry, you could get one.
And it's he probably runs it as tight as one too. His own security force, and it's just in South Atlanta, and he doesn't. He literally there's every building became a studio, a stage, and. This one building, though, he calls the Green Building, has got everything in it. I'm telling you, you go down one hallway, you're in a hospital. The next hallways, you're in the Oval Office, and then you have cool. Because of the Oval success, he has a mock vice president's. I can't remember the name of it. The vice president's home. The interior has got it looks just like. I mean, you literally think. And I spent a lot of time in D.C. You think you're in those buildings. Right. It's quite amazing. But I will say for him, though, he does such a fantastic job of hiring so many people in the South Atlanta area. It's quite a social wonderful asset, wonderful thing he is to Atlanta, and I think to the country as far as getting people busy is concerned. But I'll tell you what, it's tough because there's so many damn people on set.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, it's quite amazing. But again, I still go back to the authenticity of on location filming. It's still my favorite.
Oh, it's got to be. Yeah, and somebody like Tyler Perry, who's like you said, a great ambassador for the area and gives back to the area and keeps it at home and all that's so awesome. And I mean, it's funny. The Madea movies, that's some of my favorite. That's some of the newest, funniest stuff that's been made in the last 20 years is Madea Christmas. If you hadn't seen Madea Christmas, you got to watch it.
I think the most beautiful thing about him, and if you take, I think not Lucas. Who's the Terminator?
Cameron.
James Cameron. Cameron. Tyler Perry. Steve Harvey. All before they hit it big, all lived in their cars. They were struggling artists with a vision, and I think like a lot of artists, take the Renaissance. The Van Goghs and the world. Most of them weren't even popular when they were alive. And the starving artist term, I think, really holds water. Think of how much brilliance is out there that we'll never see.
In all forms of art. You're exactly right. I mean, I talk to entertainers and musicians all the time. Same thing, living that. Are you gonna try to get a whim of that and go start sleeping in your car?
Brother, I've slept in a lot of cars in my life.
Some mine, some I knew, some I didn't know.
I just got out of one, as a matter of fact.
There you go. Coming in hot.
You're on your way to a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry there, Schmitty. Yeah. Well, we need to make sure, like Tig said, this podcast won't make it out before the debut of the movie, but we need to let everybody know where to find it and where to find you on social media. I know we're going to talk for longer, but we need to make sure we get that in there.
It's going to be on either Amazon or Netflix. I believe Amazon on the 31st. And the way that works is every streaming system buys these films, and then they release them. And then after a certain amount of time, the contracts flip over to another streaming system who buys it for a lesser price. But so Amazon's got it, I believe, first, and then we'll go from there. But and then my social media is IMBD, which is the Internet Movie Database. You can find me as Tim Michael Schmidt, and SCHMIDT, and you can see my filmography there, and probably more than I want you to know about me on there. But,
oh, they're gonna know a hell of a lot more by the time we're said and done with this. Well, so that's awesome. I'll have all the links to all of this in the show notes and everywhere. I'll have links, and as you're watching or listening to this, you can go and check it out. But that's fantastic. It's going to be on Amazon or Netflix. Either way, boom. Everybody can watch.
Wait, and thing. I still want to know when she wrote her phone number. What was that she wrote her phone number on in that scene, dude? That was a giant piece of paper.
So yeah, funny enough, I'm glad
it was the guest book.
It's amazing you asked that question because it's funny because that's good, great eye, great recognition there, Blazy, because. It was that, and once you see the movie, it'll make more sense. That table is kind of like I'm a homicide detective, so that's that's Walker's desk where he's got all these gruesome pictures of crime scenes, and they're sitting there, and I think part of it is the lack of her sensitivity to what she's looking at. I kind of treat her like, oh, hey, you probably don't want to be looking at all this. This is. And she's a vampire, so she's
okay.
She's unfazed, and
she's getting hungry.
But I will say there's it's kind of like anything else. There's also mistakes, if you will, that the director might like better once you do it, but they're not really how it was scripted, and some things just kind of float by. But the audience won't know any better. So, but thanks a lot for you pointing that out, Blazy.
Yeah. Blazy's the guy that points out, hey, wait a minute, that last scene, that truck was white, now it's blue. Yeah. Wait a minute.
Hey, Tim, how come you looked ugly in that one?
I just thought it was kind of a real pimp bold move. I was like, man, that's a really big sheet of paper. She really wanted him to have that. I mean, it's almost like cardboard as it folded over.
That particular scene, Blazy, was probably. To this date, my hardest one. I'm glad you brought that up because that entire scene where we're sitting there, we did in one take, and I don't know how much people know about filming, but usually each time the camera cuts, that's a different scene that the actors have cut and started again, cut and started again. So it's the memorization and of the lines, and then your character. Have a chance to kind of reboot after each cut, and then film. But that particular one, we went, and gosh, it's a 5 minute film time of just straight one scene, one shot, and it's it's not the easiest, and it was intimidating. It was intimidating, but the
5 minutes to stay on. And on point in anything, a song, a presentation. I mean, anything, but let alone now
especially with that intensity of the subject matter, and like all that was drama that was coming back and forth, and that energy that was flowing. Like
it was so pivotal. It was
a good scene.
It was so it's pivotal, and the director really challenged us. We did it the first way. We did it several times. Again, I don't know. People don't know this either, but each camera shot that you do is a different take. So one 30-second to 1 minute shot in a film can take 15, 20 takes and each different angle, different camera angle each time. So when people see a film, there's probably 300 hours of film that the editor has to cut down to an hour and a half. So people kind of think that it's all just, in point of view, easy.
Flows, yeah.
It's not that way. Each time the camera cuts somewhere else to a different point of view, that's a whole different scene that was filmed. But we did it that way the first several times, which, is half a day probably, or a quarter of a day. And then the director challenged us and says, "Hey, can you guys do that? Can we get you to do it? All one take and
one shot."
Well, I tell you what, we were both like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I was sweating big time though.
So did y'all film this movie in sequence, like as it went, or is it scattered all over the place as far as how you filmed it?
Yeah. No,
that always intrigues me whenever I hear a behind the scenes in a movie or something. Yeah. The way that they filmed it, the way that it was processed,
Tiggs, that's a great question, and people again, nobody knows this stuff until you do it, but no. As a matter of fact, when I first got on set, the very first scene we were going to do was one of my most emotional scenes, and I'm staring at a picture of my dead wife and. I'm drinking and, I'm shooting this bottle of Jack Daniels that I think I pulled out of the back of my car. I'm kidding.
That you were living in.
Yeah, I was living in. I'm kidding, but
car, home, whatever you want to
call it. RV. But I said to him, I said, Chris, come on, man. I said, you're not gonna give me some time to warm up and kind of ease into this character a bit. Yeah. And he's like, well, shit. He's like, yeah, kind of. Yeah. He's like, well, yeah, okay. And he had kind of go through his mind of what sequences he could do to kind of do one scene first. And then he's like, you know what? He's like, you know what? You could do it. And I was like, yes, sir. I was like, yes, sir. So, but that is tricky though, because you're by no means am I a method actor, or I don't think really anybody truly is to what they determine the method actor to be. But but you are Tim when you're driving there to the set, and then and then at some point you do have to become Detective Walker, and that's a dark place to go to. An alcoholic pill addict whose wife was murdered a year before, who's tracking a serial killer is a dark place to jump into. And if you know me, I'm not that kind of person.
That
so
you.
it takes me some time to get into that. But
how do you do that? How do you get yourself to get into Detective Walker and to have those emotions, to feel that, to run through all that? I mean, what's the process to do that?
I think it takes it takes experience. I think in life, and I think in acting as well. I think that for me personally, what I do is I take all the difficult times in my life, and I put those into my heart. I bring them out of my heart and into my conscience. And because this person I'm portraying is living with the darkest part of their heart in their current conscience, so I draw from that. And then I think that's why you see a lot of older actors who are very good, because they've had enough life experience to know what trouble feels like, and to what pain feels like, and to what sadness feels like, but what determination also feels like. So you got to honor a lot of things. You have to honor, for me, I honor the badge. I'm a detective, so I'm going to honor the police force and all the hard work they do for tracking down and trying to find perpetrators of crimes in this world. Sure. I'm also gonna portray the troubled individuals in this world who have addictions to pills, to alcohol, to whatever the case may be, and show what kind of weight that does bear on a soul, no matter what you do in life. And then I'm gonna portray those that have lost a loved one, and also show what kind of darkness that brings to the forefront. And then also I'm gonna bring to the forefront all those that know vampires.
You have
vampires, dude. That's a tough one, right?
Hey, there's a whole bunch of vampire. There's a lot of people.
That was my best Norm Macdonald.
You hung it there for a few seconds. Hey, but seriously though, you think about niche genres like that. We always talk about wrestling on here because I love wrestling, and most Southern people
I think JR it's called wrestling.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. See, you know. So, but with that, like, there's a whole underground world of internet vampire community that I'm sure can't wait to get a dose of this. That you tap into 1/10 of their, couple of million man army they got, you're already doing pretty good.
Brother, I'll tell you what, man. The films that I have made, like one of them, Happy Birthday, for instance. Look, it's got its genre, right? It's got its place. It's got its budget. It's a micro budget. It's a micro budget SAG film. But boy, I tell you what, people sure have their damn opinions online. I'll tell you that.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I tell you.
Well, you can find anything now. Like if you have any inkling to watch any kind of, you name a scenario, there's a movie or TV show about it. There you go. You're filling a niche.
My favorite thing though is these audience critics who spend an hour and 2 pages of a review and say how much they hated it, but yet they spend probably 5 hours typing out a
right.
Hey, so much
whenever,
the world must know.
So waste.
You're so worried about me.
Whenever a new clip drops on the fraternity text thread, I know the boys. I mean, it's a full day's job. It's all good and love, but it's everybody's back and forth, and I mean it's great. I love it.
Well, I'll tell you what,
I can only imagine how.
I think with today's social media, and everything is that, look, I mean, if you choose to put yourself out there for audience, and if you choose to do that, and whatever it is, if it's social media, if it's acting, if it's whatever it is, if you choose to do that, then there's a format for people to tell you their opinions, and they're hey, this isn't Russia. This isn't Russia, is it? No, it's not Russia.
I hope not.
That was my Chevy Chase. That was my Chevy Chase. Good job, JR. That was when you do that, you welcome it. Like, look, I tell you what, I would love for everybody to sit there and say, "Hey, that was fantastic. Good job." But I really don't give a shit.
No, you're trying to get the job. I've really even had them say that about me on podcasts before. Yeah, it was a great podcast. JR wouldn't shut up the whole time, talked over everybody or whatever. I'm like, I don't care as long as you listen to the podcast. I appreciate you. I'm sorry, I'll try to pipe up, but thank you for listening.
You did your job.
If you don't like it, start your own podcast talking about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There it is. JR guy podcast.
Nobody says like, look, if you go buy a meal at the fast food restaurant, and you say, that sucked, I hated it. Well, you still bought it, so I really don't care if
did you eat it?
If you come back or not.
Well, shut up.
And the next guy or girl's gonna say, "That's a pretty good burger."
And my simple point in all that, I guess, would be this: is as artists, and I do believe that anything a human creates is art in its own way.
Yeah.
The reason I am an artist is I want my art to spark an emotion. And whatever that emotion is fine. If it's anger, if it's applause, if it's sadness, I don't care. As long as it does spark an emotion, then I've done my job.
I tell you what, man. Speaking of art, we follow each other on social media now, and I've been seeing some of the art that you've done and some of that charcoal work and stuff. And man, wow, blown away, dude, blown away.
Well, thank you. I tell you what, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I appreciate that very much. And my purpose for my art is I enjoy creating anything, but 90% of what I create is made out of repurposed materials. So it's not an environmentalist thing per se, although that's just a nice fringe benefit. But it's more of, we live in a world where people throw away and rebuy, and that's capitalism for you, but that's okay. But I think what I hope to do is that the emotionally intelligent can extrapolate from my art that just because one person doesn't value something does not mean it's trashable. It's got value to somebody, and it's seen through a different perspective. it's got tremendous value. And here I am. I take things that people throw away, and I turn it into a couple $1,000 art that somebody else views as worthy of that, and then want to hang it in their house. So again, I with social media and everything, just because you're done with somebody, for instance, you're done with a relationship, you want a divorce, or you want to not be friends with somebody anymore, or you're the tough guy in school and you want to bully somebody. Well, you know what? Yep. Just because that person or that relationship's not valuable to you does not mean that that person or that, the relationship is not valuable to somebody else. And that perspective needs to be changed, hopefully. And that's, again, I know that seems funny. Like, well, shit, Tim, it's just art. How do you do that? Well, by doing something, period.
Just doing something, moving the needle.
That's super cool. That's super cool,
it is.
Dude. That's just like I was telling them earlier. I found this chair on the side of the road right here. It's just got this.
See,
like 2 days ago, it was around the corner, and I was like, "Wait, hold on, that's perfect for my studio because I need a good chair." And dude, it lifts up and goes down. I mean, it does everything. I just broke the handle. Wait, but it still works. Look, there I go. Hold on.
I think Ricky and the boys.
There it is. It still works.
I think Ricky and the boys had a orgy on that chair. If anybody reference to the other guys in the Prius,
yeah, it was funny. There was a Prius sitting there. I don't know. Maybe it did come out of the Prius.
Mike,
weird glitter on the arm.
That's not.
Oh, hell yeah!
I had some of that on me too. So, but thanks for bringing that up, though. Because that is again, I applaud anybody that creates in this world, and I just I just wish everybody else would too, because so many people have so many wonderful ideas in their minds, and I grew up in a family with my father was is a retired colonel of the Marine Corps, and I have two brothers, and art was not, it was kind of we played sports, we fought, we wrestled, I think authenticity to oneself, I think no matter how you grew up or what your environment was like, it does take some time to find that, within yourself and to find what makes you happy. And kind of like this podcast for you guys, something drew you to this. Something just said that, hey, this I want to do this no matter what the outcome is or what the critics say, and good for you. I think that I wish everybody would take that little feeling they have in their body, in their mind, say, because I tell you what, on my deathbed, the last thing I ever want to say is, what if?
What if? What if I didn't do that? You always have to push yourself a little bit more, get yourself out of your comfort zone, whatever that comfort zone is, whatever it is that you're doing, and that's kind of how this whole deal started with Chad and I, of just, hey, I'm doing this. And then I did it. And everything that I read, listened to, all of that leading up into starting this whole show was, the first thing, just do it. Just put it out. And just put it out.
And then we finally brought in a pro, JR. We brought in a pro podcaster to come join us, and he's just a pro, dude. He's just a pro.
That was a back to school reference. He really cares about what? I don't know.
Not to be confused with Summer School, another great school movie. Summer School,
fantastic movie. Summer School. I've been trying to find it. I wanted to show that to my son this past summer.
I will say this though: the funny thing is, I am an '80s movie fanatic. I could probably tell you every line from every '80s movie. But I'll tell you what: when you watch some of these movies as an adult, some of it's bothersome. Summer School, by the way, Mark Harmon almost has this relationship with what later is senior in high school.
It's awful.
Really a junior, and I haven't watched this. I haven't watched this movie in 15 years, maybe 20, but I remember.
Tim,
I always found that a little odd.
Most of those movies are that way.
But
that's a good point, because you go back and you're like, oh my God, how?
Hey, And look at
like cartoons too.
Well, look at that's a whole different story. Yeah. But I tell you what, like Dirty Dancing, for instance, Dirty Dancing. Johnny's like 30 years old banging, this 16-year-old girl.
It's a 17-year-old.
Right.
Her name's fine, Baby. But he's hot, so no one cares.
He's banging 60-year-old women and 16-year-old girls. But not knocking up Penny. Not knocking up Penny. By the way, Julia Roberts can. Oral whatever she wants, but she won't kiss on the lips, though. She will not kiss on the lips.
Nothing in the face. Nothing in the face. I mentioned this. I mentioned this somewhere. I don't know if it's to you guys, but we were talking about something similar to this. How inappropriate things were not too long ago, as it seems. And there was. I had YouTube on just some random '80s videos the other day while we were at the house. And George Harrison video came on, and the song is called "She's 16, She's Beautiful, and She's Mine." And the video is literally a big bearded, middle-aged George Harrison, or maybe in his late 30s, but middle-aged, with this singing to this 16-year-old girl, telling her she's 16, you're beautiful in your mind, and not like it's his daughter either. Like it was very. Wow. I'm like, and they're showing. I'm like, I can't believe this was a hit. God. Somebody put this on and thought this was a good idea.
Well, I would think
and that George Harrison's a big one.
I would think that was.
He sure was.
I would think that was odd, JR, until I see the. Never mind.
All of it. Yeah,
it's yeah.
Like times have changed, and we think stuff's weird now, but it's just different weird. Everything's weird. It's just different weird due to perception and social consciousness. Really, I mean, there's always weird shit going on and evil and crazy. And good. I mean, there's always all of it. It's always a mixture.
What about your award? Like 2021, dude. You've got forget acting for a minute. Like. You've got what's that? The LA. I blocked it. I don't have any of my notes in front of me right now, but I remember that. So it's the LA Film Festival. The Golden Film Festival. Yeah. And you got Best Producer, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Wow, what a shocker, huh? As executive producer for a TV episodic or a streaming episodic, I should say, called Dead Serious, which is still being in production. I started out as an actor on the cast, and God, it's a funny story, man. Life is just so fucking funny. Excuse my language. Life is funny. And that it was a role I was going to go on this audition for, Blazy, and it was on a Sunday, and I started driving, and I was halfway there. I was like, what? This role. I was like, I'm above this role. What am I going? Scheduled it. I gave my word I'd be there. I made a commitment, turn back around and go do it regardless. So I go back and I do the audition, and I got the role. And because of my audition, though, they expanded the character. The character was supposed to be a first episode character, and then it became it's been written out through multiple seasons now. And with that said, that part of it, I would say, though, I learned what a hell of a lesson I learned to myself. And it's amazing, no matter how old you get and no matter who's teaching you, even yourself, you make a commitment and you follow through with it, and you never know what's going to happen. But, you just do things to the best of your ability. But once you make a commitment, you see it through. And beyond that, I was blown away by the cast. This is first of all, the writer and director is a tremendous young man. I say he's a young man. He's probably 26, 27, which is a young man to me now. Gosh, I can't believe I said
that. Hey, it's facts.
Well, I tell you what, this tremendous young man he was hit in high school. He was hit by a car coming. A car hit him, a hit and run, and so he has a lot of physical and mental challenges that because of the accident, and the person just ran off. There was never any justice for that situation. However, he's been stricken with these what I would say obstacles throughout his life, and has it slowed him down? Not an iota. and I'll tell you, I was just blown away by him. He's an African American young man who's got physical and mental obstacles because of this accident that he's had to overcome and fight for every day. And nothing in his life has been set up easy for him, nor anybody, I would say, but even more so. Fortunately, he has a tremendous a mother that I've met and family that helped him. But I was blown away by him and his ability, and then the cast in of itself. The cast is such a diverse group of people of age, of color, of ethnicity, and I was just I thought, boy, this project could be one that I can really stand behind and really support. This is something that the country needs to see, that the world needs to see. That your color, your religion, whatever. Let's all just come together and build things and row in the same way. And look what we can do when we do that. And so because of that feeling, I became an executive producer and an investor on the project. And I have an undergrad in finance and MBA. So I kind of put that hat on at times. And boy, I tell you what, I learned so much about the business side of filmmaking, and all the same time being a cast member. That's crazy. And what's crazy about it, Blazy, is that boy, I was not even going to go. I was turned around to go home that Sunday. Because I thought this role was
nuts.
Because I thought this role was underneath me, and because of, I think, of doing the right thing and feeling the right way and seeing the world the right way, I was rewarded with the Los Angeles Global Film Festival Best Executive Producer. So
unbelievable,
dude, that's
awesome.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
That's so cool.
Thank you. But again, I say that because it was I had the same mentality as anybody else. It was a Sunday. I didn't want to do something. I was, and who out there hasn't felt that way? It's not every day your go get 'em attitude. No. Sometimes you just don't have that in you. But if you follow a code and you do things, and again, I'm not giving advice. I'm just telling you how I see things. It's just that if I follow my code and I do things the right way, nothing but good could come from it.
Since you've got this newest project in the can, and it should come out as we speak in a few days, since that's been done, are you working on new projects now? Do you got anything in the pipe? What ratio are you spending on making art and working on film stuff?
That's good question, man. Art's really taken a back seat. I've been, I think, so we just finished a film called Eclipse on Blood Mountain, which will be coming out, is another horror movie.
It's so good.
This one, this one is a creature of Native American descent, origins of religious origins, finds some Airbnb 20-somethings, and hilarity ensues. But
hey, we need to get a treatment done of a character that's this crazy radio host type guy that turns into a werewolf at night, and it's Blazy, and we cast Blazy as this crazy right wing Southern radio host, internet that he just gets crazy and fights people, and then if they ever get the one up on him, he goes and snatches them out of their house because he's really a werewolf.
So funny you say that, because once you get involved in these projects and you get the acting, and then you get involved with the directors, you get involved with executive production, you start to get involved in networking with all the business individuals in the scope of the industry. I just stay busy. Now I raise capital for films. I even created a fund to raise money for a financial because in Georgia you have a tremendous tax advantage of passive assets, and it's a tremendous place to if you want to invest money for a guaranteed return. Georgia filmmaking is a great place to do it. Give me a call if you got some money that's burning a hole in your pocket, and I can invest it into a film. And
good to know.
But yeah, I've done that as well. So I have invested in several films and become a kind of a liaison from a business standpoint in that regard. I help find people with money to invest in different films. So I still consider that an artist because I am funding people's dreams. You know, I do.
Are you able to make some money on these investments, though?
Yeah. You know, look, I don't. You know,
it's a fair question.
I'm just curious. Like, you know, can I do like a self-directed IRA or something? You know, like
no. Listen, I'll tell you what. There's guaranteed returns on investments, and the great thing is you can roll them over, and you're not taxed on the money that you invest in these films. So it's tremendous.
Wow.
And you have a credit as an executive producer on the film. So a lot of people don't understand what the different terms are. Executive producer. Executive producer basically means that you're an investor. And you have some
never knew that.
And you have business you kind of have business authority over the film, but not creative authority, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's why there's always so many executive producers on a film. I'm like, how many executive producers can there be in a movie?
Yeah, or if it's something to do with some entertainer, it could be the original artist or the writer or someone involved they want to throw a bone to.
Yeah, but typically that's why you'll see like you know, actors that have a substantial career, you know, create their own production studios because they want to do things their own way. They don't necessarily want to direct it per se, but they want to have the authority to direct the director, if you will, to a certain extent. You know, the
direction and the control. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So again, but again, filmmaking, you know, is a tremendous investment idea. So I've been doing that. I do. You know what else I do? I get a real kick out of this, and you know me. If I could do anything to help somebody push their dream forward, man, I'll tell you what, I'll do anything I can to help you out. And because at the end of the day, you know, it's not just my what ifs that I want to think about on my deathbed. I also want to help everybody else's what ifs. So if I have any capability of helping somebody's what ifs become a reality, then dang sure guaranteed I'm going to be doing it. So with that said, we have SCAD, which is a Savannah College of Art and Design. They have a big campus here in Atlanta, and they have a great film school. So I do a lot of 1 day, 2 day. I'll be on the cast. I'll play for these filmmakers. You know, their final projects for their films. You know, and they'll. So I don't put those on my filmography per se. But I do those every chance I get. They'll offer me, you know, so they try to pay you, but I just tell them to put the money back into the film, you know, into editing or whatever.
Right.
But again, I think that it helps. I'm not going to be completely 100% generous on this because it does help me hone my craft in doing different characters and working with different people. And I also have in my mind that, hey, who knows if this is the next Scorsese who's coming out of film
and let
school.
them come back and remember you down the road because you helped them.
And again, that's not why I do it.
And you sharpen the pencil along the way. Yeah.
But you know, but I again, who knows and who cares? All I know is that I have a talent and an ability that they need. And if I can have a chance to help them achieve a dream, then I can guarantee that I'm going to do that.
That's cool.
You know, one thing I didn't think about earlier when we were first talking on this, but the more I think about it and the different roles you're playing and a lot of these more intense action horror type roles, and I know you, and as Blazy does, you were always a gym guy. You were always in the gym when you were in college and always. Are you? How much of that do you still have to keep up to do these roles? Because, I mean, I'm sure you've got to fluctuate between whatever your character is, but then again, you've got to stay on time with your normal routine. Are you still getting time to hit the gym every day, or is that something you ramp up for certain parts and ramp down for others?
I would like to say that JR, that you put that on the table. I'm not 20 years old anymore, but
Right.
I'm at 46.
Well, you
now.
look good. You look good in the shots I see. Is why I asked.
Well, I
I'm thinking,
appreciate it.
you know,
Again, I don't let obviously I don't let myself go. I hit the gym. I do as much as I can. I'm not pressing 315 anymore. I can tell you that. But but
me either, brother.
I stay fit for a 46-year-old. I do have. I depending on the film, how much lead time I have. Certain films I have more lead time. I do now. By no means do I do like a machinist Christian Bale situation, where I'm eating an apple a day, but or
cabbage
gaining,
soup.
yeah, or doing a Joaquin Phoenix, 80 pound weight gain. But I do try to get myself into that mindset in that way. So I will. I will, obviously let myself go, or put myself into a better position. I will say this though, I do my own stunts,
Awesome.
and I actually have trained to do on scene stunt work, fighting. I've as you know, we've talked before. I've got 8 years of Krav Maga under my belt in boxing, and so. Which is actually a negative, because I have it stuck in my mind to fight, to actually
the real way
to hit and make contact. So it's not easy to erase that and
I have a question.
Yeah.
What exactly what the hell are you talking about? What is that? Well, I know that we kind of have discussed that, but walk us through. Yeah, what is that?
So Krav Maga is Israeli special forces fighting tactics, which they invented for their special forces, and it's not an art. It's not it's like karate or jiu-jitsu or it's not. There's no beauty in it. There's no art in it. It strictly is to beat the living shit out of somebody to get yourself to safety. It's defense. It's self-defense. Yeah. And it's only to be used in self-defense, but it is. But once you progress through the levels, you get to weapons defense. So I'm knife fighting, pistol rifle, disengagement, how to protect against three fighters and yourself, how to fight against a fighter and you have your family with you. How to disarm somebody on an airplane, how to disarm somebody and get out of when you're being held hostage on your knees.
A lot of security detail. I know for different entertainers I've been around. That's a lot of their security detail always is Krav Maga background.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is there's no belts, there's none of that shit. You're not sitting there trying to. It's not an art. Again, it's strictly our motto is. How do I get home? How do I get my family home safely? And look, if the person doesn't engage with you, then no big deal. Walk our different ways. Again, all I want to do is get home safe. But if you put yourself in front of me and you make it so that you're challenging my safety or my family's or my loved ones or my friends' safety, then I'm going to be prepared to handle the situation. The problem with that mentality is, again, it's not conducive to stage fighting. So I have accidentally hit co-stars and again, but the good thing too is that I don't mind getting hit. So if I want something more authentic, it's like, oh hey, go ahead and get me one, in the face. Don't worry about drawing it too close. But it's all about. It's all about with film fighting, it's all about the angles of the camera, like a slap, a slap coming from this way is you come in and then you just pull it out instead of following through, you just kind of pull out like this. But on camera from the other from the side shot from the other angle, you can't tell the difference. So again, I find it fascinating what I've learned about how cinematography and direction works. Boy, I tell you what, it's truly movie magic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's endless. Just editing a podcast has opened up my eyes into the little bit of magic you can do to fix stuff. And I mean, that's nothing, not even on a scale of like of an ant of what it takes to edit a movie and put it together. Color coding, the sound, like, I mean, it takes every single little part of every little thing to make what you watch on the big screen, on Netflix, on Amazon, any of those places.
But you'll appreciate this, Tiggs, from your standpoint is, sure, that's editing. But as a director, you have to make sure that you have the product to edit. So you have to be mindful of that as the director of the project while you have all the assets together to get what you need to get to in order to edit properly, right?
Right. And I guess that's where some of those directors, you can go into all these famous ones and all that, where they get quote unquote weird or whatever. They're just very demanding, and we got to keep reshooting this 300 times. Boom, 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 till we get it right. It's the same thing every damn time. It's the same thing. No, it's not.
Oh man,
There's something specific they're looking for.
I've worked. I tell directors. I make sure that I get really close with directors before I start working. And one thing I tell them, I said, look, my mentality is, you're the artist, I'm your paintbrush. You know, I utilize me however you want me to. But then again, you have to remember as well, they're not an actor. You're the actor, so you're the one's going to act. But still, you're not the director. So so you have to have that symbiotic relationship where they can talk to you in a way of not telling you what they want, but they tell you what they vision.
Yeah. Could you run us through the roles of, like, from the director, the producer, just the different people that are on set, just a kind of a grand overview of people? Because I know a lot of people probably, you see it when it comes down the credits, you see these different things, but you have no idea what the actual role was. We touched on that a little bit, but like, give a little overview of a movie set. What's on there when it's being recorded?
First and foremost, I'd say this is that every single individual that you see in credits, without them, that film's not being made. So I don't care. There's no role that's too large, no role too small. Every role is exactly the same, and every role is 100% needed in order for that film to be what it is. And I wish that. When they do Oscars almost, and I'm not saying this and that, there's a winner, but I want everybody to understand that if a director's awarded an Oscar, I guarantee you that director sitting there saying, every single person that you see in these credits, they got this Oscar too. And I'm talking about everything from where Grips, Best Boys, all those titles you see that you don't understand. So to answer your question, executive producer is kind of top of the food chain. The movie doesn't happen without that individual. They are the business side of it. They are the ones that usually buy the script, own the script. They are the business. They own the project. If it fails, it's their fault. If it wins, they win. They get the benefit, right? They're the ones that are going to accept the Oscar for the best film, and it's because it's theirs. They also get the windfall from it. With that said, they have they typically do not have any creative decision making. So they're strictly business. Now that goes down to producer. Producer's got is not the owner, but they still have a ownership in it. But they have more. They do have some creative control. They are going to be responsible for who is hired for the film with the executive producer, but the producers are the ones who are going to be helping hire the casting company, the director, all those things. They're kind of like this. If the board of directors is the executive producer, I guess, then the CEO is kind of like the producer, and then you have the director who really, look, the director's job generally, this is some directors like a Lucas and all take way more roles, but typically a director is only going to be involved with how the scenes are shot. That's it.
Gotcha.
They are the one taking all the tools that they're given and making this beautiful thing. The actors that they're given, they're typically not involved with casting. Sometimes they are, depending on the side of the project, though. And then it gets down to then you have an assistant. Then you have assistant directors who are doing all the nuance work or the daily things like okay, what's the next scene? Who do we need involved in the next scene?
Yep.
So that the director
up the extras, all that.
Right. So the director can stay focused on what the holistic picture is. And then you have, oh gosh, man, you might have a second assistant director, but then you have your cinematographers. And I'll tell you what, the relationship between the director and the cinematographers, or who's running camera A's, are the most important relationship on the set, because they're the ones. And I'll say too that a lot of times the director will take the word or the direction of the cinematographer on how certain shots are made. The director will just have the vision, but the cinematographer has to make it happen. So again, it's so critical. And then it kind of goes. But then you have the grips, and then you have the electrical, the lighting people. The director wants a certain feel or a certain aura on the set, and the lighting grips are going to be the crew are going to be the ones that the gaffs are going to be the ones that get the sound or get the lighting, and the camera tracks, all the things that happen.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I tell you, there's
so many people.
And this is not even like, you have the sound folks, and the sound folks are the ones that have to hide the microphones in your clothes. No matter what you're wearing, they have to have the booms, and they have the booms out of the scenes, and have to set all that up.
Can't forget the prop master with all the fake wrenches and the fake crowbars.
I'm just saying that it's literally like it's literally what I always attribute it to is it reminds me of kind of like Caesar moving all the troops from Rome to Germania. To get all the horses and all the food and all the everything. Oh my gosh, the logistics are insane. It's funny,
Brantley, when you asked that, it was like, man, you could do a whole podcast on that, I bet. Like, there's just so many parts in there. Like, that's like,
yeah,
I was thinking that earlier, because I was actually thinking we should do a whole nother show.
I think we will.
Trying to dig into that, because it keeps going.
But if I still don't know what the hell a grip is.
But I just finally learned what an executive producer is.
But if there's one thing, if there's one thing I will say, and every time I step onto a set, before I step on a set, I go around and I spend time with every individual. This is an actor, as an executive producer, with everybody on the set, crew and cast, and just tell them, get to know them, get to know their names, get to know what their job is, and because I tell you what, I am not going to be able to do my job if they're not doing theirs, and vice versa. So, and everybody's job is critical. There's the actor is no more important than the grip. The grip's no more important than the caterer, and so on. But because it takes every single individual to make a project a success.
I can't believe it takes that many people, but then again, I can. If it didn't, then we all have nice little cameras and stuff these days. If it was easy, then everybody would do it. If it didn't take tons of people to make a project come out, look the way it does and be the way it is, then anybody could do it, and not just anybody can do it. It's tough. It's tough.
Think about it. We're these major motion pictures, where they spend $100 million. Where do you think all that money goes to? I mean, we film projects. I filmed projects as low as 25,000 up, and up. But but the budgets are all. No matter what the budget is, every single one of those people still exist on a set. Yeah. And boy, I tell you what, the value of each of those human capital assets are tremendously valuable.
Well, you think about number wise. Like I said, I've done a little background acting, and on some of those, say they would pay me $125 for a 10 hour day on set is what I'm booked for. Whether we're there for I've been there for an hour and they let you go because the weather it ain't right or they don't need more people. You still get paid for your full day. But I would go to these calls, and one in Montgomery, there was probably another 80 extras there just like me. But the one I did for NCIS one time in New Orleans, or was it Bill and Ted? One of those, there had to be 600-700 other extras just like me. There was just tents.
Did you say Bill and Ted?
Yes, I was going to say, sir, did you just say Bill and Ted's?
Yeah, you know that new one they did, the most recent one? That
was Bill. I was an FBI agent.
Yeah.
And I was also Bill and Ted's.
And there's one movie that had Ben Affleck in it that I talked to him that day. Hell, we ended up smoking a cigarette next to each other out the thing, but it was shot in New Orleans also. But that was another. There was probably 500 people there. That was
Geely.
No, this was just a few years ago. But it was kind of about the same time where they have the picture of him smoking the cigarette, looking all like the world's
Jersey Girl.
About that, the meme.
About that era. But you think about, say there's 600 other extras on set that day, and they're paying us all $125, $150 a piece. You do the math. You got to have them on set every day for 6 months. That's just for extras. That's not even people who are making any real money. Then if you end up on one scene where you say, or you're multiple, or they need you for this, then you get bumped up to 1,200 in a hurry, and it's like, oh my god.
Hey, Reynolds, not only that, guess what? You have to feed those people. You have to. You have to transport those people.
Oh yeah. They would move us from base camp to a location on buses. We get food. They bring in smoothies.
So do they house you if you're there for multiple days? They're housing you and everything, right?
There were certain things on certain locations they would. Most of this you need to be in the area for anything I've ever done.
Regardless, you just think about what it takes if you have a family or just yourself. What it takes for you to go somewhere for let's say you go camping. Think of the money it takes for you to go camping just on yourself, or if you go with a family, or think of all the money it takes between the car, the gas, the food, then the actual event or the activity, and then now extrapolate that out to 1,000 people,
or whatever. Or even 50. I mean, even like what I do every weekend. There's 25 of us riding around every weekend.
That's
doing
why
shows.
That's why if you look at the money in a movie, you'll see like, oh, okay, it made $100 million in box office, right? But the budget was 75. Oh, it's a failure, because wait, they made $25 million. Well, did they?
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, it's a wild world, and I mean and now with all the new things, and I don't know if you want to dive into any of that since it just went down with the actors and writers strike, with the onset of new AI potentially taking roles away from people. I know I watched a thing just a few days ago about all the animal trainers in California. No live animals are being used for anything. They're using CGI now, so they're all selling farms and going out of business, and that's not even AI.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look,
look.
What's tough right now, and what I get, I'm not gonna say angry about. What I find frustrating is, I wish that I am not in the union. I'm not union. I have chosen, although I am union validated. I don't see it as a value for me at this point. And I'm fortunate right now because I got all the work while everybody's on strike.
Yeah, I was going to say, you already have good insurance. The rest of us are trying to get that SAG card so we can get good insurance.
Good point. Well, so the thing is, this is what I hope is, and again, I'm not blaming the guilds union. I'm not blaming them by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not blaming anybody. I just wish they'd come to some resolution so that all the people who are affected otherwise can get back to work. We're forgetting about all the lighting companies, all the caterers, everybody,
the drivers,
everybody who is reliant on these two parties to work like adults and come together in an equitable agreement. Come on, grow up and get together so that everybody can live again. I mean, come on,
I agree.
There's got to be an equitable situation. Get off your high horses and come to an agreement. Now I say that, but where does that, we're humans, and that's, but again, I just wish, I'm a Pisces, man. So look, I want the world to work in harmony, and but I do think holistically that, gosh, man, like I said, so many people are reliant on a few people to do things the right way. Boy, throughout time, I guess we've done the same thing. Look at our government, for God's sakes. We're all relying on them. A couple of people doing the right things, but again, it goes back to the original question, Tiggs, is that what does everybody do? Well, what everybody does is a lot, and what everybody does is extremely valuable and a tremendous asset. And guess what? Right now, they're not able to do anything because of the financial disagreements, which is ridiculous.
Right.
No
it
doubt.
is. Hopefully it comes to a resolution soon and quickly. So, because look, I mean, we're the consumers on this end. You're not. You're bringing it to us, but we're the consumers.
Oh, I'm a consumer.
And eventually, you're a consumer too, but you're also part of feeding us. We need it. So, I mean, we need our entertainment. As dark as this world's getting right now, God knows we need it even more than ever. So they have to work this out. There are families that are being affected. Yeah. I can remember when I lived in Florida, and I sold hardwood lumber and things like that. We sold a lot of that lumber that went to props and things like that were built into stages and stuff like that at Disney. Like there was this one cabinet company that we worked with, or woodworking company, that they manufactured all of this different stuff for all of these elaborate projects at Disney, and some really, really cool stuff too. They would be one of those that would be out of business right now, right, because of this. It would kill them if they didn't have that. I mean, that's what they depended on. This was 20 years ago, but that's what they depended on to hit their nut every year, to do what they needed. So yeah, it's just a big trickle down by having this. The big wigs, exactly like you're saying, they're sitting on their high horse, living off the fatted calf that they've had for years. But now it's starting to really, really hurt people. I
will say this, Tiggs, though, that and here's the other thing too, is like, look, in the SAG, in the union. Yeah, look, I mean, the union's made up of thousands of members, and not all of them are The Rock or George Clooney or Brad Pitt,
Right, Most aren't.
Exactly. But it takes, I mean, look, you're not having all the projects or all the films to choose from on streaming services without all these actors. And I'm talking about very relative actors that are not capable of, I'm talking about, you have seen some very household names that are struggling right now because I saw one that had to sell his house because of lack of work. Yeah. But I will say this though, you see people like The Rock. For instance, he donated over $1 million to the Guild Fund to help to subsidize the actors that do not have the capabilities of living without filming. So. It is a union, and again, you kind of live by the sword, you die by the sword. But what's fair is fair, and what's equitable is equitable. And I think that as adults, everybody can come together at some point and see what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, because if we get another game show on primetime TV, I'm gonna have to write them a letter myself.
God, what's God Almighty, I don't. Hey, I'm not knocking any of them.
I saw one the other day, y'all. I'm not kidding. I don't know if you've seen this. It was a show, and I've seen it once or twice. Hopefully it's done. But it was a show basically where these people were trying to build Hot Wheel cars in real life.
I've watched it multiple times. This comes on
or
a lot.
Something.
Yes, you take a car and you got a dream as a Hot Wheel, and you turn that car into a Hot Wheel, and it's a challenge.
Is it their Lego freaking show on?
This is, and we're talking about this is on a primetime Big 3 network at 7:00. This show comes on. I'm like, what the crap is this mess?
Hey,
I've seen it passively, like it just
same.
There it is. Yeah,
but that's what we're getting, until everybody get back to work.
Well, the thing is this too is that we become such a with the streaming services. If you think about it this way, it used to be just run by the networks and by the premium channels, right? HBO, Cinemax, ABC, NBC, CBS, whatever they showed is what you, and then you had Blockbuster or Movie Gallery. Whatever they provided you is what you had your choice of. Nowadays, good God, there's endless amounts of providers and distributors of these films.
and content.
With that said, that's the key word right there. That's what I was getting at right there. The one thing that you need when you have this many feeders and this many consumers is content. And that's why they're struggling right now, which is why I'm staying so busy right now. I've got offers. Look, hey, for the first time in my life,
perfect for you.
Hey, for the first time in my life, I'm turning down work.
That's awesome.
and I'm choosing not to do auditions because I've got, I'm holding up for better. Now, my agent didn't hear that, it's speaking of agents, boy, I tell you what, they're fantastic too. And I tell you, here's a whole other group that's struggling. Again, we talk about all the people that do the actual projects on set. And all the people that do all the work, you have all the backside of that, the managers, the agents, the publicists, and all their employees. Yeah. I mean, I'm just, advertising companies. I'm just saying that there's just so
the lawyers.
Much. I mean,
the same.
I will say this, JR. I will say this. Fuck the lawyers.
That's where I was getting at. That's why I said the poor starving lawyers.
Fuck all you lawyers. Not personally, just professionally.
Right. Yes,
but that's the same thing we're going through over in my world in music is the same thing. You have so many outlets, and so you don't have to listen to the radio, and you don't have to go to the record store to get it. They can go on your phone or computer, and you can access anything in the world instantly. And it's a whole new, and they're still trying to figure out how to make sure everybody gets paid right and gets credit. Now we've got AI bleeding over into it, so we're going to have the same issues in art world, any form of art or entertainment.
But JR,
similar issues.
JR, if you look at the world, think about when we were younger, the artists used to complain about the singles, the single cassette. They're like, no, we want them to buy the album, not just the single song. So look, no matter what we do in life, we're going to have to evolve and adapt. But again, I think, look at podcasts. How many people on terrestrial radio are sitting there going like, fuck these podcasters,
Right. And that's why I'm like, well, if movies and TV just keep going to game shows, maybe more people listen to Tiggs Bits podcast. And hey, everybody wins.
That's right. That's right.
We'll just start doing shows on here, and we'll put it out
to
that
Hot
way.
Wheels, brother. I mean, we're going away winning that contest.
We're already
right?
winning. Right?
Yes,
we've got award-winning actors. We've got, we're just rocking here, man.
We are.
We really
we're
are,
on our way.
man.
We're on our
we
way.
are.